Hello everyone, Chelsea here. Welcome to a yoga stretch for your lower body. So we are going to target the quads, the hamstrings, a bit of the hips, the IT bands, and some calf work. And so when you want to retain the length from a stretch, you need to hold the pose or the stretch for at least 20 seconds, ideally longer. And you do not want to stretch into pain. You want to find tissue tension and then back off a little bit and use your breath to sink into the stretch. Because when you cause pain, it causes the muscles to tighten up to guard, to protect, and you defeat the whole purpose of the stretch. So find what works for your body, relax into it. And today we will need a strap. And if you do not have a yoga strap, you could use a belt or any sort of rope, anything that's long that you could hook around your foot. And so let's get started. So we're gonna start on our back today. So laying down onto the mat with your knees bent and feet a little bit wider than hip width distance, toes pointed in a little bit, so you're pigeon-toed, and then we're gonna drop the knees in together into this restorative pose. So taking a few moments to just be present on our mat and focusing on our breath. So shoulder blades tucked underneath. We're gonna have our hands on our belly or alongside our body. We're gonna focus the breath into the belly, and we're gonna take 5 conscious breaths. When you breathe in, feel the expansion through your body, and then when you breathe out, feel yourself melt down into the floor and relax into the pose. Okay, let's get started. When that is complete, bringing your hands alongside your body, palms facing down if they're not there already, and we're gonna bring our legs up towards the ceiling, side by side. And while we're up, if you have really tight hamstrings, you may have quite a bit of a bend in the knee, and that is okay. Straighten them out until it feels comfortable for you, engaging the quads, and we're gonna point and flex the toes. And press your palms into the floor to engage your core. And then we're gonna rotate the feet around in a circle one way and then the other. Okay, and then bending the knees and grabbing your strap of whatever sort you have, placing the strap underneath the balls of the feet, keeping the feet together, and then extending the legs up towards the ceiling, hanging on to the strap in each hand, and pressing the heels towards the ceiling while you're gently pulling the strap down towards you to open up through the backside of the legs. And so holding this pose, taking big breaths, imagining like you're breathing into where you feel the tension along the back sides of the legs. Relaxing your sacrum down into the mat, relaxing the shoulders, relaxing your jaw, big breaths here. Pressing those heels up towards the ceiling, gently pulling down on the strap, Relaxing the pelvis, sacrum down into the floor. One more breath. And then leaving the right foot in, unhooking the left, and placing the foot down onto the floor with the knee bent to support you. We're gonna stretch in through the IT band. So heel pressing towards the ceiling, pulling the toes down towards your shin, and pulling the right hip down into the mat. You wanna keep it anchored and the weight down into the pelvis. And then we're gonna draw the strap over past the midline to the left. And you may not go very far. You shouldn't be going very far if that right hip is being anchored down. So for me, it's very subtle. And I have an intense, but not too intense, like a juicy stretch through the hamstring, a little bit, I feel a little bit in the calf, and then I'm starting to feel it down the lateral part of the leg where the IT band is. And then you can play around with the strap, and so you can either pull the left hand and loosen the right a little bit to get a little bit of a stretch where you're rotating through the foot, or you can pull the right and loosen the left, and see, play around really subtly, find where you feel that good stretch, and keep reminding yourself to relax that right hip down, that pelvis down. Pelvis is super heavy. No engagement in through the leg here. It's relaxed as you're holding it in this position. So we're gonna take a couple more really big breaths here. And then bringing the foot back up through center. And we're gonna bring the left foot up to join the right. And then we're gonna unhook the right and bring the right foot down onto the mat, knee bent. And then getting yourself in position here. So heel up towards the ceiling, bend in your knee if you need it, however much you need. Right or left hip sinking down into the mat. And then you can play around with whether you want more tension through the left side of the strap or the right side of the strap, whichever one feels the best for you. Just finding that tissue tension, backing off from it a little bit, allowing yourself to sink in, shoulders relaxed, jaw relaxed, face relaxed, but energetically pushing that heel up towards the ceiling and gently pulling the toes towards the shin. So taking some big breaths here. And then bringing the right foot over or the left foot towards the center line, finding that stretch on the outside side of the leg. Find where that angle on the strap feels best for you. Feeling that left hip anchor down into the floor, and breathe. One more breath. Foot back through center, and then bending through the knees and moving the strap off to the side, bringing the knees into the chest, interlacing the hands across the shins, and rocking side to side, massaging out the low back. And then lowering the feet down onto the floor with the knees bent. And then we're gonna roll over onto our left side, placing the upper arm on the mat, resting your head into your hand in the left hand. And then we're going to, so knees are bent, we're gonna grab the right foot and extend the left leg, keeping the pelvis stacked, hips stacked on top of one another. We're gonna pull the foot in towards the glute and then relax the knee down towards the left knee. And so opening up through the front of the thigh and through the quadricep muscle, getting a little bit into the hip flexors here. So you want to imagine like you're pressing this bony part of the pelvis forward as you're gently pulling the foot towards your glute to open up through the front of the thigh. So taking some big, deep breaths here, allowing that top knee to relax down towards the bottom knee. Two more breaths. And letting go of that foot, using your right hand to press you up into a seated position. We're going to shift onto the other side. So laying down onto the right side of the body, resting your head in your hand, and then gripping that left foot behind you and stretching out the right leg. And then allowing the left knee to lower down and relax towards the right. You can have a bend in your bottom knee if you need more balance. And so pressing that right hip or the left front of the pelvis forward as you're pulling the foot in towards the glute. So taking some big breaths here. Letting that left shoulder relax down. Not forgetting to relax the left knee. Two more big breaths. And then releasing that foot, we're going to roll onto our belly, bring ourselves into the center of the mat, hands underneath our shoulders, tucking our toes under. We're going to press ourselves up into plank and then back into downward facing dog. So fingertips spread wide, shoulder width distance apart, relaxing the shoulders down the back. And elbows, the inside of the elbows reaching in towards the midline to open up in between the shoulder blades. Feet hip width distance apart. You can walk out the dog here, alternating lifting and lowering the heels. This is great for stretching out the whole backs of the legs. And then coming to a stationary spot, Relax the shoulders down the back, reach the chest towards the thighs, and you're lifting through the sits bones, opening up through the hamstrings, and then relaxing the heels down towards the floor. Taking 3 big breaths here. Having as much of a bend in your knees as you need to. More emphasis is on the length of the spine than having straight legs here and having the heels touch. Okay, and then we're gonna walk our feet towards our hands, folding over top of our feet into a standing forward fold, feet parallel to one another, hip width distance apart. Relaxing the upper body down towards the earth. Allowing the spine to really let go, opening up all the spaces in between the vertebrae. Having as much of a bend in your knees as you need here. 1 big breath. And then widening the feet out towards the edges, the long edges of the mat, toes towards the long edges, and then heels towards the center so that you're duck feet. And then we're gonna lower down into a squat. So then bringing our palms together at heart center, elbows on the insides of the knees, and your heels may be lifted up. If they are, you can stick a folded up blanket underneath it. So lengthening through the spine, so you're lifting through the sternum, the crown of the head up towards the ceiling, opening up through the hips here, just 3 big breaths. Okay, lowering the hands down and allowing yourself to sit back onto your seat. Coming to the center of the mat, we're going to come into a diamond pose, bringing the soles of the feet together and away from the body, coming into turtle pose. We're going to lengthen through the spine first, shoulders down and back, big breath in. Exhale, hinge forward at the hips before allowing your spine to round. So once you can go as far as you can with a long spine, then allow yourself to relax. And then we're gonna tuck our arms underneath our shins with our palms on the ground, fingers tips spread wide, and then allow your head relax down towards your feet. So we're gonna take 3 big breaths here. And untucking your arms, swinging around so your feet are on the mat, parallel to the long edges of the mat. Knees bent, and we're gonna roll down onto our backs really slowly. And then coming into happy baby, we're gonna bend into our knees, take our 2 peace fingers around our big toes, and we're gonna bring the knees in towards the ground, and you're pressing your heels up towards the ceiling while you're resisting by pulling your toes down towards the earth. You can stay stationary, or you can rock side to side. You can extend one leg and then the other. If you choose to do that, 1 more on each side. And then we're going to bring our feet together into a supine Baddha Konasana, so reclined cobbler on our backs, feet together, and we're going to bring our feet down and in towards our groin as we open up through the knees. If you have really limited range of motion, you can use the strap. So you would bring your feet together and then you would use the strap to pull in your feet in towards you. So taking in 3 big breaths here. And then releasing the strap off to the side if you're using it. And we're going to keep our feet together and lower them down to the floor, keeping them as close or as far away as feels good to come into our Savasana, or you can completely just extend your legs, let your feet flop out to the side, palms facing up, arms on the ground, out to the side. And then take a few moments here just to allow everything you did just settle into your body. Feeling the weight of your body being supported by the ground beneath you. One more big breath. Wiggle your fingers and toes. And then bringing your feet onto the mat with your knees bent. Bringing your arm, one of your arms up overhead, extended elbow, and then rolling off to the side with the arm up overhead. Using the other hand to press yourself up into a seated position. Hands to heart center. Thank you so much for joining me on the mat today to stretch out your lower body. Namaste.